know why, but I know that I have to live it out every time I talk about something. And I always say I'm going to switch to just talking about frivolous fun from now on. But Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, once said, life for every person should be a journey of jubilance.
Oh, I love that.
Wow, a journey. How many here have a journey of jubilance? I'm afraid I'm not quite there yet. Maybe up here, I don't know way yet. A journey of jubilance. Do you believe that? That we should all be jubilant? And do you believe, as I said in meditation, that the universe is a friendly universe? It doesn't always feel that way. If you don't, repeat along with me. We live in a conscious, loving universe. Together? We live in a conscious, loving universe. And then my favorite part, the universe conspires for our good. Together?
The universe conspires for our good.
So this week, some of you know, we've been tested on that. Michael's son, he's living with his mother right now. We've had him back and forth. And she called and said she didn't know where he was. He disappeared. And he's on the spectrum and has epilepsy. And, so there was a concern there what happened to him. He was a little manic lately. Anyway, finally we got in touch with him. He called from the LAX airport in California. And he said he just was frustrated. He kept losing his jobs because of his epilepsy. And then he was going to go out and stay on the beach for a couple of days. And we thought, okay, And Michael was so good with him, trying to talk him into coming back. And he said, I really need to do this, Dad. So we had to trust. We had to trust that the universe would be friendly to him. And actually, he's doing quite well. He took an Uber to the beach. He's in a hostel that's fairly a high-rated one. And I kept saying, he's on his hero's journey. You know what that is, the hero's journey. We're all on it in some way. And now every time we've talked to him on the phone, he's sounding better and stronger. And he's having an amazing time. And we just keep having to say, wherever he is, God is. And he's coming home tonight, and we'll keep saying that until he gets home. But it went right along with this book, The Trust Frequency. And the subtitle is 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. And it's all about, do you trust that the universe is a friendly place? Do you trust that you're a part of God and provided for? Or do you live in fear? Most people at least live in low-grade fear. And in the book, they list some of the fears. We're afraid of everything. Scarcity, drought, famine, wild animals, the neighbors, wild animals, lack of money, losing the money we have, bacteria, old age, COVID, comets, dust, storms, other religions, the devil, God, computer viruses, the CIA, a nuclear holocaust, mice, TK, mice. Lost my place. Communists, Americans. Oh, it's a scary one. Now it's Americans. Cat hair. I love that one. That's my fear of cat hair. Religious zealots, terrorists, the police, now ICE. You name it, the list goes on and on. There's almost nothing that somebody somewhere isn't terrified at. There's even a group called the Flat Earth Society. I imagine they live in fear of walking off to Earth someday and falling off. I don't know. But the book talks about there are 3 main assumptions, and all 10 fall under these 3 main assumptions. So that's what I'm going to address today. What are those key 3 assumptions we have? And our beliefs create our reality because our beliefs put us in whatever vibrational state those beliefs feel like. So if we're into fear, we're in a real low vibrational state. And our life will reflect that. If we, live in trust, we are in a higher vibrational state. So what is an assumption? We'll start with that. An assumption is a fundamental core belief which we take to be true without question. We just assume it, and we assume it's true. And it can have various levels of vibrational frequency depending on what it is we believe. And then the collective beliefs, the mass consciousness, the collective consciousness, we all carry these beliefs together that we agree on, are called paradigms. A set of agreed upon assumptions which taken together create our consensus reality of our worldview. So not only do we have our own beliefs to look at, but we have to look at what we all believe together. Okay, let's get to the 3. The first one should surprise you. It's scarcity and lack. I'm not enough, I don't have enough. But the truth is, we're one with source and substance, and reality is shaped by the vibration of trust or fear. We just have to rise up and trust collectively together, especially as we go into our new future now, collectively together to trust. The second one is competition and comparison. Anybody here compare yourself to others? Boy, that's a losing battle, isn't it? It's you against me, and if you have it means I don't mentality. But the truth is, in Scripture in Matthew we're told, for he, meaning creative principle, makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. In other words, we all have access to the principles of the universe, and all we have to do is trust and access them. Well, the third and final one for today is separation thinking. In separation thinking, we start to fear those who are different. And then we have to defend or attack. It's them against us. A win-lose mentality instead of a win-win mentality. Would you repeat with me? A true assumption. All of creation is one. Together,
All of creation is one.
And the most important, there is no other. Together,
There is no other.
there is no other. We're all one. And that's why Jesus said, that which you do to the least of my brothers, you do to me. Because we're all one. So, getting back to the original statement, the catch-22 of do you believe in a friendly universe is that whatever we believe, we attract by our vibrational state. And our conscious reality is determined entirely by our collective basic assumptions about the nature of the universe. All together now, oops. Now before we welcome these true assumptions or new beliefs, we have to get rid of the old ones. The Bible says you can't serve 2 masters. You can't say you trust but live in fear. You can't serve 2 masters. You can't put new wine in old wineskin. It just won't taste good. If you have a computer, you can't upgrade your software sometimes without getting rid of the old. We have to just start fresh. So a common false assumptions are that stand in the way that we have to get rid of is that the universe is just matter. No consciousness, just matter. It's out there, it's separate. We have no connection, we have no relationship with it. And there are random happenings. So we're not safe because something random, the sky could fall at any moment. Those are false assumptions we have to get rid of. And the way I can see that, have you ever watched a swarm of birds? There could be 100 of them swarming, and they make wild turns, and they all do it together. Why don't they bump into each other, I always think. Have you seen them? They just go like that, and they don't bump into each other. I kind of compare it to the LA freeways. My son lives up there. And it's like, man, they go, all these thousands of cars going around. Sometimes they bump into each other, but not that often when you think about it. Or look at bees that go from flower to flower and somehow find their way back to the hive. Now, I don't know if they have some kind of bee sign that says turn left at the pine tree or the third hive on the left. I don't know how they find their way home, but they do. Because they're connected to Source. They're a part of the universe and they know it. In Australia, the Aborigines are famous for their walkamoes, where they just go out into the wilderness and start walking, leaving all their possessions behind. And they totally trust that they'll be led to food, that they'll be shown the way, they'll find their way home. Because they know they are one with source and substance, one with all. So, what are some true assumptions that we can bring in? Let's say again, we live in a conscious, loving universe. Together, we live in a conscious, loving universe. The universe loves us unconditionally. Together?
The universe loves us unconditionally.
So why doesn't the book say the love frequency instead of the trust frequency? Well, Michael once reminded me that trust is an operative of love, a conduit for the flow of love. If you have trust, love can flow right in. You can say you love God, but if you don't trust, there's a block there, isn't there? And so trust allows that love to flow in. You know, we have to trust everything. You know, we go grocery shopping and we try to get more foods now that are natural or organic. But can you really believe some of that labeling? Do you really think everything you buy is natural or organic? I don't know. If you can't trust a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, who can you trust anymore? What kind of world do we live in when we can't trust a sandwich? Now, so to trust or not to trust, that is the question. And we create our reality by the power of our consciousness. So I double dog dare you. I hope you don't have to go through what Michael and I did this week to practice it, but I double dog dare you to trust. And it's kind of like jumping across a wide gorge. You can't start trusting and say you're going to trust and then halfway jumping across the gorge. You say, well, maybe not, and go back. You can't do that jumping across the gorge, can you? And life is that way. There's no turning back. You either trust or you don't. There's an old movie, Apollo 13. You all saw that, didn't you? The Apollo 13. Wonderful movie, true story. And Tom Hanks played a wonderful character in the movie. And there was a story within the story about his character's real life experience. And he was telling it to his friends as they were stuck in outer space, not knowing if they were going to be able to get home or not. It was a tense time for the whole country. And he was telling about a flying mission that he was on one time, where all the electrical gadgets on the plane went out. And he couldn't read where he was. There was no way to tell. It was dark outside. There was no way to tell where he was flying or how to get home. And then all of a sudden he noticed some lights down below. And there was a river. And the river was full of algae that glowed in the dark. And he was able to follow that river all the way until he got to where he could see the lights down there and knew where he was. And that's the way life is. We just have to trust, even in the darkness, no matter what's going on. And then they go on to say, ask the solution of any problem and you'll get the solution. Do you trust that? Ask any solution. You know what stands in my way? I ask, but then I want to hear, now I want immediate action. I want the answer right now. I want it to be the outcome the way I think it should be, and I want you to fix the outer. Don't tell me what needs to be fixed in here. I want to see it fixed out there. Do you relate to that? What's that?
Great.
Pardon me?
Great.
Great, oh great. Okay, thank you, Brandon. You think like I do, right? They want to fix now my way. Fix out there, don't fix in here. God is able to give you those answers if you yield. And that takes trust. Sometimes they use the word surrender, and some people don't like that word. If you yield to the higher power, God can't get in if you don't yield to the higher power. And then we get frustrated. I was in Walgreens one day, and the man in front of me was buying a Hostess Twinkie, and they were on sale. But when the cashier rang them up, they didn't ring up with the sale price. They rang up with the full price. These are Hostess Twinkies we're talking about, not a new car. And the guy was furious. He was raging that the Hostess Twinkies were not coming up with the sale price. His anger was way out of proportion to a Hostess Twinkie. But the Course in Miracles says you're never angry for the reason you think. You're never angry for the reason. There's always something deeper in there. And he was dealing with his trust issues. If he would have been trusting, either the Hostess Twinkies would have rung up on the right price, or he wouldn't have cared. It would have affected him. We've seen people in airports when flights are canceled, and some of them go ballistic. It doesn't help anything, but if you stay in trust, it'll all work out. The universe loves us unconditionally. It gives us everything we ask for. Oops, let me repeat that. The universe loves us unconditionally. It gives us everything we ask for. Wait a minute. I didn't ask for cancer as a child. I didn't ask for my first baby to die. I didn't ask for health challenges. I didn't ask for divorces. Well, maybe one or two. It's complicated. It's complicated. How are we asking that things are happening that we don't want? Well, there's so many answers to this. I could do a whole nother message on why. But the simple one is, before birth, we come in with a purpose for this lifetime. They always say, don't pray for patience, because what's going to happen? You're going to be impatient your whole life till you learn patience, right? So we make choices to strengthen our soul, for our soul evolution, for our potential, because we're evolving up to our potential. And how are we going to do that without some strengthening? We also create reality by the power of our consciousness. There's a song that I love to sing at Unity, Our Thoughts, Our Prayers. I don't sleep at night sometimes because of that song. Our thoughts are prayers all together now. Oops. But the Course in Miracles again says, let not my mind deny the thought of God. When we lose our trust, when we get into fear or those lower frequencies, we deny the thought of God. God is present. And one thought of God shifts you to a higher level of consciousness. God is present in this, by whatever name you call that. Wherever I am, God is. So the old assumption is we're all victims of circumstance. The new assumption is life may not always feel jubilant, but we're on a journey to wholeness. Everything that happens is fulfilling our evolution into our divine potential. And sometimes that takes work. Sometimes we're a little uncomfortable, but it's fulfilling our ability to reach our divine potential. I'd love to talk about when I first went to Unity Village and didn't know all the principles of prosperity yet. And I would just buy little books and little things because I thought that's all I could afford. And so there was a tiny little booklet, not even a book, a little booklet. It was real cheap, so I bought it. Plus the author was Stuart Wilde, who was English, funny, and very irreverent. And so I had to get it. English, funny, and irreverent. But it showed a picture of a man on a hammock, and he was very relaxed. And he was living a life of ease. And the title was, Life Was Not Meant to Be a Struggle. And then you open the book and it said just a gentle progression from one point to another, much like walking through a valley on a sunny day. That's that life of jubilance that Charles Fillmore was talking about. And the only reason we don't have that is because we look out in that outer world and we see the chaos and the craziness, and we get scared and we lose our trust and our faith, and we forget our oneness with the divine, and that we have access to all that we need, and all we have to do is ask, and it shall be given. Let us just close our eyes for a moment and feel what it would feel like if you let go of every bit of stress right now. Letting go of every concern or worry. Letting go of any feeling of lack or limitation or fear or distrust. And with each letting go, there's a lightness. A joy starts to return, and you rise up to a higher and brighter vibrational state. And then we can relax into that state, knowing that the outer is now reflecting the true state of our nature. We are divine, and we live in that joy, that jubilance of knowing the truth that sets us free. And we just pray this in the nature of the living Christ within us all. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is.